Hey guys, I wanted to record a short video just touching on some of the hidden money drains that you'll find when setting up a fresh campaign in LinkedIn ads. Particularly for SaaS brands, you want to eke out as much efficiency out of your ad spend, and LinkedIn has a funny way of kind of auto opting you into certain campaign settings that just blatantly waste your budget, whether that's regarding your audience targeting, the kind of campaign settings overall, or maybe your bidding strategy. But I'll kind of go in depth into this video and some of the problems that you kind of can run into, and then also the solutions to avoid it, and again, just reach peak efficiency with your ad spend. But jumping into it, just a little bit of background about myself. My name is Paul. I'm the co-founder of Rooney. We're an ads agency exclusively for B2B SaaS brands. Personally, I've been managing ads for over 7 years now. So whether it's LinkedIn, Google, Meta, Microsoft, these level of auto opt-ins have become more and more prevalent over the years. So when you are setting up new campaigns, especially, you have to be pretty vigilant that you're not handing too much control over to the ad platform, because you'll find that's when your efficiency really starts to drop. But jumping into the video, starting off with the first trap, is the first screen when you actually set up a campaign. LinkedIn will prompt you to choose between accelerate or campaign type or classic. And you can see here already with the image that it wants you to go for accelerate, recommended. So just straight off the bat, you want to switch to classic, because this will give you a lot more control over the audience targeting, the ad format, everything like that, your bidding strategy. With accelerate, you're handing a lot of control over to LinkedIn, and typically what we find is you're just not going to get as efficient spend when you kind of hand the reins over to the ad platform here. Again, their primary goal is get revenue from you, while your primary goal is get a decent ROI. So sometimes what this looks like, sometimes they might actually just force spend, even though it might not be going to your perfect ICP, and maybe they'll overpay for a cost per click just to get you spending your full campaign budget. And again, this isn't ideal when you're focused on ROI, profitability. So in terms of kind of solution, always go with classic. This is just 100%. There's never really any need to go with accelerate, because you're just going to be burning your budget really. Moving on to the second kind of drain, I just quickly want to mention, if you're unhappy with your current LinkedIn ad campaign performance and you want a professional to take a look or take it off your hands, you can book a call in with our team using the Calendly link in the description below. But back into the video. And this is related to LinkedIn's auto targeting and audience expansion. So what this looks like once you've kind of clicked on classic, and then you move on to the audience selection part of the campaign setup, LinkedIn will prompt you to maybe include a URL. I've just put Rooney, our company website, in there right now, and then it'll try and build an audience kind of based off of your URL, and just really it just never hits the mark nearly as closely as when you set up your audiences manually. So we always recommend, setting it up, whether it's cold audiences using company name, job titles, company size, industry, or, custom audiences, account-based marketing, things like that. But we always just avoid this auto targeting. And then just even below that, within the LinkedIn Campaign Manager, you'll have this prompt, and it's already pre-selected for you. LinkedIn are just so kind that way. You'll see here with the tick, the enable audience expansion. Again, this just forces the campaign to spend when it probably shouldn't. Often when you kind of look at your frequency, you'll be able to tell, okay, maybe I need to expand my audience here. It's reaching the same people over and over again, but with audience expansion already enabled, LinkedIn will take care of that for you, but definitely not in the most optimal way. Typically, they just aren't able to find your ICP, and particularly with SaaS, it's such a niche specific audience that you're often going after. So that's kind of why you're just better off setting up the audience yourself. And if it is a case that your audience is too small or the frequency is too high, you're always just better off trying to expand the audience yourself. So whether that's targeting different geos, maybe going after different seniority levels within the company. So instead of just the C-suite, maybe going after the head of certain departments or even manager level, and just finding any way to accurately expand your audience. But not just handing the steering wheel over to LinkedIn, because they just rarely, if ever, get it right. And they just, your click-through rate, your cost per click, your CPA, your conversion rate, any metric you can name, it's usually going to suffer when you include audience expansion with your campaigns. So for this section here, just switch off, don't even opt into auto targeting, and unclick audience expansion. As far as, especially for kind of upper funnel cold audiences, what we tend to lean on for our own SaaS clients, it's industry, company size, seniority level, job title, and company name, if you know the type of companies you want to go after. This, more often than not, obviously it needs great creative, strong landing page, but as far as the targeting goes, this typically works best for the upper funnel of your campaigns. So if you're really trying to warm up or you're trying to prospect to new customers, the firmographic targeting within LinkedIn that you build out manually is a lot better than the auto targeting or the audience expansion that LinkedIn auto opt you into. Then moving on to the third kind of budget waster trap. Again, it's one of those ones where LinkedIn has just gone ahead and done you another favor of opting you in for LinkedIn Audience Network. So this, if you've ever run Google ads, this is a bit similar to when you're setting up maybe a search campaign and it's Google's search partners or Google's display network, where they'll auto opt you in as well. So it's not just LinkedIn, it's Google as well. In this case, you really just want to tick this, uncheck this box, pardon me. Similar enough, the only people you want to go after are on LinkedIn, and these third-party publishers where LinkedIn audiences engage, you don't get the same results. So they're just not as engaging with your ads, and more often than not, you're going to be paying a higher CPA, and just you usually drive a much lower click-through rate on these third-party networks. So again, we just want to keep everything confined to LinkedIn, and we want to ignore these audience networks. Again, you have to be so vigilant with every step of the campaign creation, particularly if you're new to LinkedIn ads management. It's just, they make these things sound very appealing, where your LinkedIn audience is engaged, but really it never performs as well as just a normal LinkedIn platform. So this is a bit of a quicker one to avoid. You just untick that box, and then you'll be able to kind of reach more and more efficiency by just keeping your ads solely on LinkedIn and not expanding out to the audience network. And then moving on to the last, and what I think is probably maybe just after audiences, is the second most important budget drainer to avoid. So this is related to the bidding strategy. So this is towards the bottom of the campaign setup, just before the ad format, or kind of the ad build out. By default, LinkedIn will opt you into maximum delivery, the bidding strategy. And they do kind of make it sound very appealing. Get the most results possible with your full budget. But what I mentioned at the start of the video, this is designed to maximize LinkedIn's revenue, not your ROI. I can't emphasize that enough. So as far as solutions go for like best practice for the bidding strategy with your LinkedIn campaign, always choose manual bidding, and you can start your max cost per click bid on the lower end. We tend to go just below LinkedIn's minimum forecast, and we see if the campaign is spending its full budget or if it's struggling to. If it is spending its full budget, we kind of try and lower that bid even lower and just kind of reach more and more efficiency. But on the opposite end, if the campaign isn't spending its budget or not spending its full budget, we start to incrementally increase our bid. So I just put this small graph together, just demonstrating how you'll likely see your cost per click scale if you choose between maximum delivery versus manual bidding. If both bidding strategies started at $10 per click, you'll likely see maximum delivery just start to shoot up $15, $25, $30 per click. But with manual bidding, which is what we recommend, it's what we do with our own SaaS clients, you can just have a lot more control and you can increase your bid incrementally, most important. So you can start at 10, for instance, $10 bid, and then increase that up to 12. We'll see then, all right, is it spending its full budget? No. Okay, let's maybe go up to 14. Again, is it spending its full budget? No. Okay, let's go up to 16. And if you're in a rush, if you're kind of really urging to get traffic, still go at manual bidding, but you can kind of make those jumps a little bit bigger. So maybe go from 10 to 15 to maybe 18 or 20. But what I wanted to kind of showcase with this graph and the rest of the resource is that LinkedIn's first and foremost concern is spending your full budget. I think this is reflected in the audience expansion, the maximum delivery bidding strategy, even the way they describe it, expanding out to third-party partners, and then even the very first step when you're creating a campaign, accelerate. Again, this all sounds very appealing if you're setting up a campaign for the first time or you're not too experienced with LinkedIn ads. But if you're trying to eke out as much efficiency as possible, having as much manual control really is the way you're going about that. So choosing classic campaign structure, not opting in for auto-targeting, switching off audience expansion, switching off third-party partners, and switching from maximum delivery to manual bidding. And then I suppose most importantly is building out your audience manually. So taking the real time to look at your ICP and then have that reflected in the company size, the job title, seniority level, things like that. So yeah, I really hope that there were some useful tips in this deck and that you'll be able to avoid any of these pitfalls that LinkedIn generally auto opt you in for, and that you have to actually go in and deselect, uncheck that tick box. But I'll leave a link to this resource in the description below. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to watch the video.